As a member of a municipal government, I, along with my counterparts, am stewards of the community's finances. As a result, we are responsible for ensuring that capital improvement projects are executed as efficiently and cost-effectively as possible. In other words, if our municipality is in need of road improvements, it is our responsibility to budget for the improvements and then see that they are successfully accomplished, preferably under budget. Now, at face value, this seems like a relatively easy task. However, even the most straightforward project can get financially out of hand very quickly. For example, all projects will consist of a number of key players. These players can include, obviously, the village council, the folks who will decide the project's worth doing. Next, will likely include village staff or a consultant. These will be the folks who decide how best to accomplish the project. It will include a surveyor. This will be the person responsible for the field data collection and also some construction staking. An engineer. This person will be responsible for the design of the proposed improvements. The contractor. This person will be responsible for the actual construction. Because we'll likely be dealing with other utilities, namely telephone, electric, and gas, we'll have some folks that will likely be responsible for adding or relocating the utilities in the project area. We may want to have some of our own public works department work on the project and moving our own utilities, that being storm and sanitary sewer in the area. The project may also include an inspector. This will be the person who is responsible for everything that's being constructed and making sure that it's constructed properly. If there's a building on the site, you'll likely have an architect and perhaps a landscape architect to deal with. If any of the money is being used as a result of a state or a federal grant, there will be a fair amount of communication with those folks as well. Now, it's an awful lot of people to deal with. And what complicates this further is that some of these folks are employed by the municipality directly, but most are not. Because of this, a project is typically broken into multiple pieces and then worked on independently in little silos. As a project nears completion, all of these pieces are typically reassembled into a single set of paper contract documents, and then the construction process begins. Now, you may be wondering if the pieces always fit back together exactly as they should when the entire project is reassembled. The short answer to that is no. Unfortunately, there are always things that crop up during construction that require field adjustments. This could range from any number of things, including conflicts between utilities, insufficient distance between utilities, incorrect pavement elevations, erroneous dimensions, and more. Keep in mind that these are static issues in that they represent a problem at a particular moment in time. Another thing that needs to be considered is the sequence in which a project is constructed. In other words, each step must be accomplished in a particular order. For example, the concrete trucks can't show up on the site 2 days before we need them. In either case, problems like these result in rework and cause delays. Because this translates into additional fees, someone will be responsible for the extra charges. Hopefully this can be resolved quickly. If it is not, it can trigger what I like to call the litigation phase of a project. The litigation phase is where everyone starts suing everyone else. Needless to say, it's something you want to avoid if at all possible. Now, in anticipation of issues coming up during construction, a municipal government typically sets aside 10 to 20% of the total project cost in what's called a contingency fund. The purpose of this fund is to ensure that monies remain available to resolve unforeseen events. As financial stewards for the community, we figuratively and literally cannot afford to have a project go over budget. Now, here's an example of a typical capital improvement project that all communities can relate to. What we have is a dangerous intersection where more than 30 accidents have occurred in the past 3 years. 8 of these accidents have produced serious injuries. Now, at face value, it seems like a fairly straightforward project. Making an intersection safer is pretty easy. We identify the cause of the problem and then resolve it. For example, we could add a median, turn lanes, reduce the grades, improve visibility, whatever it takes. Unfortunately, it is not that simple. In this intersection, we have a number of existing utilities, including telephone, gas, electric, and sanitary sewer. In addition, we are very close to several irrigation canals that are under the control of another regulatory agency. To make matters worse, the main road is a designated truck route that handles a substantial amount of traffic every day. As a result, performing any work in this location has the high potential for disruption. This is why a model-based approach is so important. It is truly the only way we can 1. Quickly aggregate data from multiple sources, 2. Ensure that any potential problems are taken into consideration, 3. Verify the accuracy of the construction schedule, and 4, and probably the most important, complete our projects under budget. This animation was created using Autodesk's Infrastructure Design Suite Ultimate. Using this tool, project data was assembled from numerous sources to create a 3D model of our proposed improvements. Once this model is created, we can quickly analyze the entire project for conflicts and design issues. This quality assurance quality control step is invaluable to a municipality. It empowers them to identify and find resolutions to problems before construction ever begins. Finally, we can synchronize all of the project schedules with the completed model to visualize the construction sequencing. Whether the project schedule is Primavera, Microsoft Project, or a simple spreadsheet, model components can be assigned to the schedule such that all affected parties understand the construction process and the impact it will have on them specifically. Using a model-based solution assists a municipal government in completing projects within budget, helps them free up monies typically spent on contingencies, and most importantly, helps them remain good financial stewards of the community.